liberty, and justice for all.
We have proof of publication warrant for the meeting. Yes, sir. This would be the annual publication.
Sorry, microphone shut down. Can you hear me okay? Should we continue? Okay, so we have a quorum. Do we have any requests for additions or deletions to the agenda?
Mr. President, I'd like to request we remove item K3 at the request of the city. They'd like more time to review this issue. And back at the January meeting.
All right. Anything else? So the next item is approval of minutes. Do we want to take these 1 through 5, or does anybody know they have a request to amend any of the minutes here? We go from July 8th all the way through October 7th.
I have nothing from the public on my request to speak.
Okay, so hearing none, we have a motion to approve the minutes as presented from July, August, and September, and October.
Approve the minutes?
We have a motion, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, minutes are approved. Under engineers matters, open permits. Mark?
Thank you. First, although not written in the agenda item, I want to bring up a request I received just this week from the IMG property.
Can we get your microphone a little closer, please?
Yes,
Thanks, sir.
I would like to present a request from the new owners of the former IMG grows. And that is a request to install a bridge over the main canal and a second bridge over Park Lateral. I told them I would bring it to you if you wanted to consider such a request.
A bridge over the main canal?
Yeah, they have a north-south road that runs parallel to their internal north-south ditch where it runs north. They want to continue that across the main canal. I can't remember which sub-lateral they wanted, the east-west crossing of the park. I think it was like halfway down their ownership. I can't remember. And if you are interested in entertaining that, we just treat that as a standard, development-related permit. And while we're permitting that, I would also require them to address the remnant agricultural permit that, in my opinion, needs revised for conversion to 10-acre ranchettes, which is their new development scheme, as I understand it. Just straight up standards.
So to make sure I understand, you're saying they have some development permit from the Fellsman Water Control District?
They have an original grove ag permit where they put in risers and pump stations, and all that's been slowly falling apart probably for years, and not so probably inoperable at this point, and certainly no one really paying attention to it, the risers and so forth. And it was very similar, in my opinion, to what was done in the south. I can't remember the large ag piece, but along the 85th to 91st or something, there was an old ag developer that converted to ranchette sales, and they were required to go through a permit mod by us and St. John's. And I cautioned this guy when he first called me months ago that he needs to go and check with St. John's if he needs to amend the St. John's permit, which I believe the answer is going to be yes. And I just want to make sure that we also address the remnant ag pieces in our ditches. There's no reason we need to have risers and pump stations in the ditch that are no longer being used. We're just going to make them evaluating problems for us, and we let them stay there.
Okay, just backing up, I mean, so that's
taking public comment?
Sure.
Okay. I don't need it. Epic Estates is the new owner, and I don't know if you guys heard, but we had a city council meeting 2 meetings ago where the entire northwest corner showed up in opposition of their annexation to the city, because he was planning on doing, he wanted to annex and do plan development, enter into that right away. To say that everybody that was standing out in this hall and down the stairway and in the council chambers itself was against it is an understatement. So he's a very wise man, Silicon Valley tech entrepreneur. And so the next day he put it all up on Zillow and in social media that it was for sale in 10-acre ranchettes. And nobody's falling for that one at this point because there's still an annexation application before the city, and there's still plans in the works. There's not been one sale. He's got it for sale for $350 a 10. He paid $100 per 10. So just commenting to keep this place from filling with people at the next discussion. I would say no to any bridges that are going to be coming in across Arc Lateral and or Main Canal at this point.
I'm still a little perplexed on that.
He wants to get to development grade.
Yes.
He wants to find a high quality way to get out of this subdivision besides driving down a mile and a half dirt roads.
Which is what anybody who, I'm sorry, I should have asked, but which is what anybody who was actually interested in building a ranchette, such as Cody Rittenauer, such as Dina and Tom Laughlin, such as everybody who's out there already on 10 acres loves. That's why they want to be out there, is because they drive a mile down dirt roads and they're away from.
Through traffic.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what I'm getting at. The wanting the bridges to keep people from having to drive a mile down dirt roads. In our opinion, those dirt roads are beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
I certainly don't have any feelings for it, but I don't know, I mean, is there a process for them to follow? Is there an application or something?
Oh, yeah, it's no different than any other use of our right of way. It's just instead of having a bunch of drainage calculations, you have a bunch of structural calculations and plans. Probably have some drainage as well, making sure you're not, disrupting the flow. But we have standards in our design manual for bridges. It talks about how high you have to be above the peak, how your columns or vents have to be installed, for free flow of water. So we have it kind of addressed in our standards.
Any thoughts, Steve?
No, I mean, this is the first time hearing of it, and I think it is smart that we bring it up again and we research what's going on here.
How about maybe asking the gentleman to come in and speak directly to the board at a meeting?
Yeah,
That would be a good suggestion. Yeah, somebody explain what's going on here. He was just shut down, and Karen's not exaggerating. I was at that meeting. This place was full, and a lot of people came and spoke, and we ought to be careful approving something like that.
So just to keep it from belaboring, how about we just say that we will not take a position at this point and ask them to come and address the board directly?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's hitting all three of us by surprise. Say, I don't know what the engineering review procedure would be. I suppose to the extent that you could build a bridge high enough that it's not going to interfere at all with flow, it's less of an issue of
point.
Yeah.
I caution
Thank you.
everyone to look up Epic Estates online and research Venkatesh Yaramassetti and his brother, and make sure exactly what their intent is. These two gentlemen are out of Texas. They are land barons, and they are buying up all the agricultural land they can get their hands on in 7 states in the United States. And what their intention is with almost 800 acres in Fellsmere raises great suspicion to us. So I caution you very highly to do your research before you proceed.
Thank you.
Well, unless there's a motion from one of the other board members, we're not proceeding. I think we're just, not taking the matter.
Thanks.
And so as far as the balance of the open permits, I'll let the agenda item summary speak for itself. I have really nothing to share on any specific item, but we still need to address the shrimp farm issue. I'm working with Mr. Van, our attorney, to make sure we get that letter out. That's also addressed in the meetings. But our new engineers are providing responses in a timely manner and helping us get the comments out to the applicants.
I did have one question, Mark. On the Marion Estates one, you say your pending response to request for additional information offered to the applicant to shift the right-of-way dedication from 18 to 17, since additional row is not needed along 18 for maintenance purposes. So I remember 2 years ago when this came up, that had not been an agreement between the city and FWCD and Marion. So I imagine there was an agreement for your easement maintenance purposes, and so now there's a new permit being.
No, it's not a new permit. They've never been issued a permit from the district. And the original comments were based on the original plan where we had received dedication of right-of-way on 89th, but not 91st. We instead were working with the city for the easement over people's backyards, which I thought was quite cumbersome to people's backyards. Having a big machine drive through it to get to the ditch.
Yeah.
So too late in the process, after I left the city, I came up with the idea of just shifting that dedication from 89th to 91st, because we've already got a road on 89th. And so that's kind of what I'm waiting to hear back from them. I've communicated with the city numerous times, and they seem to support that request. But I just need to get the applicant to,
You're just waiting for Marion to reapply.
or to respond to our comments, basically.
Okay.
And I think I need to be proactive on that. I called him once before, and he was waiting for his approvals, but he's already got his approvals, so now I'm wondering where my response is at, so.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay. So I think we're moving on to attorneys and matters, Seth?
Today, unless there's any question or answer.
I had one question. We had talked about getting the petition back from you.
Yes, sir. I have a petition, and on that point, when I got a request, I actually had to do a little research. That my only concern on that was I have public record retention requirements. Fortunately, the rule with the state is once it's provided notice that the election's not moving forward, that it is my disclosure requirement. So returning the issue is not a problem. So and I'm happy to do it since it was yours. So I have it. I have it here for you. Yep.
Let's go ahead and get that out of the way.
So now I'm just here. Now, that's what I was on the record. On the record that I have returned it to a representative of the need flaw.
Just already.
Please go that in minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, managers matters, financials for August, September.
Yeah, these numbers have been reviewed by our current bookkeeper who is working through entering prior year's data. And we had a nice teleconference during last week about, her coding certain items a certain way, and I said I need to adjust here and there. And so she's working on the final adjustments to these numbers. So consider these, unvetted numbers for our bookkeeper, but obviously we're not that far off because they're all supported by invoices. frugal implementation of last year's budget.
Okay. There's no questions on financials, move on to the manager's report.
Board of Managers report, I'll let them speak for themselves. I know this was a request a while back of Mr. Kurtz, who was the supervisor at the time. I'll just ask the question, do you feel you still need these monthly reports from me?
Have an opinion on it, Steve?
I like it.
Yeah.
I spent a career in those reports. At the end of the day, where you left, reports were filed. I do like them. I'm not asking for a large report. One page for a whole month.
Are the reports working okay for you, Steve, the way they're formatted and presented at this time?
Yeah, they do.
Okay. All right. So with that, I'll keep doing those. And again, I'll let the reports speak for themselves if any questions or answer.
I will question though, Mark, in the October 25 report, it said mowing and spraying are now expected in December of 2025. Spraying, I thought we were gonna.
You're right. That's a mistake. Let me just make a note of that. If you don't mind moving on to the status of sub-lateral inspections and cleanings. This map has served its purpose quite well, in my opinion, but I just want to remind you all that this is not an all-inclusive map of every metric that we should look at when we're evaluating the ditch. I know that I've heard comments from members of the public that agree with Mark's measurement metrics, and maybe they're thinking that this is all I'm looking at. And so I just want to remind the board and the public that this is really just looking at three things. Is there vegetation in the ditch? Is there overhanging limbs precluding access to the ditch for spraying and cleaning? Or is there access issues, whether it's trees on the right of way on the main side or whether it's a whole forest blocking the road? Does not deal with dirt pipes, does not deal with piles of dirt in the middle of a ditch that are covered by water. It doesn't deal with pipes that are too high or too low. We're at a point now where we've got our aquatics mostly under control, and I think we're now starting to pivot towards these other issues which are not captured in this map. So I know what you all think, you see a blue line, the ditch is perfect. It just means it doesn't have aquatic vegetation and the trees are not causing us a problem in land access. So with that said, I'll let the map speak for itself. Also provided the weekly reports that our operators do, and we're working with the new operator to make sure his reports are detailed so I can understand what he's doing out there. Also reminding him that I need his eyes as well as mine to find the problems that are out there. If he sees a problem, he needs to know it on the sheet so that we can take care of it.
Mark, the blue line on the map, that says good. Is that, we conclude that's in standard division?
Again, I won't go as far as standard because I don't think we've defined what standard is yet here, but I will tell you that it's free of aquatic vegetation largely. It has very few overhanging limbs causing maintenance concerns, and the access path is available to access the ditch anywhere along the path. But you could have pipes that are way too high and too low, and they could all be there. And there could be a hidden shoulder in the water. I asked Carter & Associates when they did their 2023 survey if they did anything more than just the culvert inputs, and his answer was yes, they did shots. He gave me a number, I think it was every 600 feet, which pretty much means one shot between each ditch, but between each pipe. But when you look at the survey, you don't often see an elevation mark between pipes, because you'll see that. You'll see the line go here, and it'll change slope because of that point. I don't see much, so I'm not sure how many survey points they have between pipes. So really all that will work is the inward elevations to figure out how the ditches are in terms of profiles. Last one is review demand letters. You got a little more in your packet this time. I managed to get back in the files and look at all the demand letters from 2022 and forward. And so now we have a comprehensive list of all identified issues to date. And now I have to go back through 3 years of proposed demand letters and see have they been resolved. If they've been resolved, was it done with a permit? administrative work to go through these. And hopefully over time, these lists will change, it'll get smaller, and there'll be notes on here saying that it's been resolved or we're working to resolve it. And there'll be more that we added. I added, I think, 3 today in 2025, just being out today. It's just kind of like very similar to me driving in the city when I was a code enforcement officer. I couldn't leave without finding problems, but I can't seem to drive a ditch without finding problems nowadays. So the demand letters will continue to grow and hopefully also at the same time get resolved. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Mark, I have a question. On your demand letters, if they're listed there, I hate talking on that thing. If they're listed and they have complied, do they have to call you and get you to come out and look at them, or is that?
It's a good question, and I'll probably need to do a little bit of research to answer the question regarding before I got here, where we're requiring these people to do permits to resolve these. I know going forward we are, because we want to make sure the pipe's in the right spot, it's the right elevation, or the right size. But back in 22, 23, I don't know if they required permits. So again, I have to basically go out and drive it and look, and then I have to check against permits, see if a permit was issued. And that's going to take some time, but if they got a permit, yes, they're supposed to call when they're done with the permit so that we can do an inspection. A lot of people don't call. It's no different than building permits. A lot of people love their final inspection, go and expire, and you got an expired permit because they never called for their last inspection. Same here, people put the work in, they don't call for inspection.
Okay, so if they complied with the permit, they got the correct size and it's in, they should call you to say, look, I did it, you want to come and look?
And I know when George Simons took over the permitting, 2020 or 2019, when SDS took over, he started a requirement that as-built surveys had to be done. So it's not just I need to look at it, you need to give me a survey that proves you put the pipe where it belongs, because I'm tired of pipes being 2 or 3 feet too high, 2 feet, 3 too low.
Okay, that's fine, thank you.
Okay, I think we're moving on to I, consent agenda,
Yes, sir.
designate surplus items.
Usually on consent items, not much of a presentation. The item's supposed to be able to stand for itself. It's not supposed to be that complicated. I didn't figure surplus property would be that complicated. The only thing that makes this a little different than the last request was this is actually also an update to the inventory. We have at the very bottom of the addition, number 3, additional surplus items. So that's what you'd be asking, approving if you were so approved that I could just dispose of, sell them, gov deals, if not disposed. The items above, under number 2, would become the new, well actually that would be in the inventory. That's the list of items in the old inventory that I could not account for. Most of them being in towers, which means I couldn't even find them. It's probably because I just got rid of it and never taken off the inventory. The new inventory that I'd like to be adopted is the page after that, which is just this bold kind of block lettering list. And so that's the surplus item.
So you need a motion for disposal of page 60, items on page 60, and acceptance of the new around 61.
Yes, sir.
I'll second that.
I noticed that the seat has an old micro cassette recorder. Did you use one of those? All right, we have a motion, second. So all in favor, say aye.
The other items are the annual bookkeeping services, which is a continuation of the conversation we had at the last meeting, where administratively I hired Tice Bookkeeping to load the data from last year into QuickBooks. And this, because it's over my threshold of $5,000, is to ask your permission to hire them for the year to continue loading data into QuickBooks. And it also provides end-of-year audit support, providing the necessary documents that the audit needs. Of all the services I do for the district, this I think is probably a good one to remove for me because it provides an extra set of eyes on something that's very important. And also provides an expert who's over 30 years of expertise in this industry to keep us in good standing. It's $1,000 a month. She originally quoted $500 a month, but after she did a year's worth of data, she Well, I'll go by what I spent per week, and I probably spent, I think, about, I'm saying 10 to 20% of my time per week on financial matters. And at $12,000, I'd say it's probably equivalent to about a quarter time.
So I think it's pretty reasonable.
I think it's good having, from what I can see, Mark and I had a conference with her on Thursday, I think, last week, and what the woman's doing to correct our bookkeeping. I went in and I looked online, if you're familiar with QuickBooks Pro. It's going to make things much clearer. It's going to hold us much more accountable, where the numbers are there and they're being checked by the bookkeeper. I still have a question about, we had the initial quote, I was involved in getting 2 of them, but from Lynn, we had that initial one of 500, the market was concerned with going up to $1,000. We tried to get it to come back down to some sort of compromise, and we couldn't get it to come down, and that's still, that is my concern, that it's $1,000. However, the product that I see that is happening is definitely something that puts us professional, a budget that we can look at, that anybody could just request a report and can understand it, and there won't be spreadsheets any longer. I like it, I like the product, and yes, there's concern about the price, but at this point, I think, I don't want to say we're stuck, but that is the cheapest, and I'll defer to a bookkeeper sitting in the audience for what she thinks.
I've been a QuickBooks teacher and operator for 25 years, and you can be as detailed or as simple as you want to in QuickBooks. And I think when I heard that they were using QuickBooks, I thought it was an excellent choice, and I don't think that you can go wrong doing that.
And your thought on the price?
I'm not a cheap bookkeeper, so the price, I think, is very reasonable.
Okay, thank you for your input, appreciate it. Okay, so I think we need
I'll make a motion that we accept,
motion, and a second.
Second?
Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes.
Yes, so we're now on item K1, I believe. This is the memorandum of understanding between the Fellsmere Water Control District and the City of Fellsmere for the management of the grant, if we're so awarded. Again, this is the grant to expand the New York ditch between Willow and Myrtle, and to finish replacing pipes west of Myrtle that need to be replaced, as well as reprofiling the ditch where needed. And basically, the memorandum reflects that there's really no cost to any agency other than their staff time, with the city maintaining the grant management and financial management, and the district maintaining the technical aspects, the plan review during preparation of plans, as well as the inspections during the work. If there is cost that exceed what's in the grant, we will basically value engineer those projects down to get back into cost of the play.
So neither the district nor the city is invoicing for administrative fees?
The only administrative fees being invoiced are the grant consultant. This is a community development block grant project, and they have very heightened rules, and they've been using for decades a company called Bailey Associates that keeps them out of trouble, and so it's basically reimbursed to what the associates cost. I believe the city's already approved this.
Yes, they are.
They did.
If there's no questions on this, I'm comfortable with it, so I need a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding with the city with regard to maintenance of the New York Avenue and 7th Street.
I'll make a motion to approve that memorandum of understanding.
Second?
Motion second. Anybody's opposed, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Next item, K2, this probably could have been under consent as well. This is to basically allow the new district supervisors and Mr. Perry telling Mr. Dooley to be able to sign off in case I get hit by a bus, and in case the next in line gets hit by a bus, we want everybody to have a sign check. So,
Are that many buses in Phillips?
Not yet.
that's all it is, allowing them signature authority and to remove the authority from Kurtz and Parnell while we're at it.
I move to approve resolution 2602.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion second, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Motion passes.
The next item, K3, removed from the agenda, but just real quick to remind you, this all gets back to the 1995 and 2007 expansion of placing a water line parallel to and in our right of way along 97th Street east of Willow, as well as along the east boundary down to County Road 5. Well, in exchange for those permits, we said, okay, we won't charge you the per lane per mile fee, but we just maintain the ditch. They come back and countered and said, we'd like to maintain a different part of the ditch, which would be 97th west of Myrtle, because that's the outfall to New York and the city, which is a big important ditch for them. I have no issues with that. It's still getting them to provide a quid pro quo for us relieving them of their obligation for the payment. But they received the MOU just a week before this meeting. They just wanted more time with it. So that's why we do that. Do you have any questions? If not, I'll move on to K4.
I do, one quick question, so they would then be required to, would it be necessary for them to bring that ditch up to par first, or how are you wording that with them?
I am basically providing the same standards we're giving the contractor in the bid. So in the MOU, I referenced some of the same figures, and provided the same figures in terms of how you maintain a ditch, how you repair a bank erosion. So yes, they would be held to the same standards that we have on our ditches.
Okay. Would they be bringing it up to par?
Yes, because right now it's under par because of
Very
parts
much
of
so.
97 you can't even access because of trees.
That's correct. That's one of the worst ones, and that's why Broadway keeps flooding. So I'm wondering if they would be responsible for making that.
Yes,
Okay,
that's why they want to do that, because they see we're having a hard time getting to it themselves.
okay.
And the MOU does have specifics.
It has specifics on what they are going to be doing in clear language.
It gives them some guidance, correct, some
Okay.
standards.
Has the city approved this?
No, this is the one they asked to bring back at the January meeting because they wanted more time.
Sorry, this is there.
It's okay.
Further on that, I think, Mark, you spoke with Lewis on helping out on.
Oh, yes, thank you, Steve. Just for information purposes, the surf park owner has agreed to donate some services on maintaining 97. I haven't got a firm commitment on how much of 97. He definitely will be willing to do it in front of his property, but I'm kind of trying to get him to do the whole portion from Willow to the east boundary. He's not going to do that, though, until he gets further down the road with the city on his second phase of approval. Because he wants to use that as a quid pro quo, extraction per se, say, hey, look what I'm giving you, to avoid the city asking for other stuff that doesn't benefit him. So he's trying to keep this in back pocket. So, you know, I'll keep looking at this, and make sure if there's anything you need to do, we'll do, but as long as it's operating, I'm thinking I'm still going to keep that on the side so that somebody else will take care of it.
Is there anything that's like urgent at this point to be done in that area? Because he told me something totally different. That he was willing and able to do whatever you told him to do at this moment. Is there something that needs to be done?
I have not seen it myself. I've driven it a number of times, and I'll continue to keep an eye on it, but I have not seen it.
Because he said that they
It does
had,
have overhanging limbs, it does have some vegetation in it, but not to the point where I think it's choking the ditch.
yeah, he said that he would absolutely be engineering that whole area anyway, and he would be, whatever you told him to do, he would be on it.
And he's willing to do that, I think he's just willing to take a step back in terms of how quickly he does it, because, again, he wants to use that as leverage with the second phase approval.
Okay, so I guess my question to the point is there anything that you think that needs to be done at this point in order to help us out right now?
No, but I will continue to look at that, and if something changes, I'll certainly change my course at this point. I'm not saying that the ditch is in perfect shape, or to a standard, I'm just saying I don't believe it's causing flooding concerns for people in the area.
Okay.
I'm done. Mr. President, if you want to move on to K4? And this would be one that I would basically ask the district attorney to provide an update, if there is any, on where the district construction is.
Jeff?
Sure. As you know, the board authorized us to continue to proceed down this request in discussions with the legislatures, and discussions the legislatures had subsequently with the county. It was presented the notion that the Ellsmere Water Control District post-contraction of the FJD and related lands could actually become a independent district of the county. The county being already out there maintaining the roads, etc. It was presented to them that they could assume the operation of the drainage system. It's my understanding that it's went before the county, I think just this week, and the county agreed to move forward. Gave it a thumbs up to continue to explore this as a option for the split. I think the notion continues to be, as had been presented previously, that the FJD district would remain responsible for the lateral root canal maintenance for the portion of the main canal that falls within its boundaries, and for the first mile of the main canal on the north side, and then the remainder would be the county's operations. All the other things we discussed, the district's access and those items would go to the county. Like I said, the Ellsmere Water Control District itself would still remain as is, but become a dependent district. And for those that don't know in the audience, that simply means that the county commission becomes the governing board for the district. Other elements remain, they still have the ability to utilize the special assessment process for it. But obviously they don't need to have a separate attorney, they have a utility department, so there will certainly be some efficiencies gained by the county overtaking that again, since they're already undergoing certain maintenance already. So that was the proposal that was really reached between discussions with the county and the legislatures and brought back to us. So I think that's what the current proposal is that's on the table. I don't believe those bills have been filed by the legislatures yet, so I think those discussions are ongoing. But that's the current status. Happy to answer any questions, although that's pretty extensive right now.
Thank you, Seth. You have any questions?
The county this morning voted to look into and begin the process of looking at a dependent district, us becoming Ellsmere Water Control District, becoming a dependent special district. So they had that vote this morning. They are officially going to look at it. I've been in contact with Mark months ago, started with the county just to see if they could provide assistance to us with bid split. There is there's nothing solid right now. It's just the beginning stage that they're looking into. They're kind of under the gun.
Yeah.
There's going to be legislation.
What is that date? You guys know that?
December 9th, so for legislation to be.
Well, I think that it has to be done by the end of December.
I thought it had to be submitted prior to the session. so-
Well, they want it submitted, and put up in the legislature.
Do you know, sir, what date, what's our deadline?
I don't know what the deadline is. I know they've been having that discussion with them because whatever's filed, they still need to hold a little delegation meeting with bracket and draw, so they'll need to schedule that for that to occur. I think they need to put a placeholder bill in relatively soon, but, you know, I'm not familiar with what the.
So we can do a placeholder bill and then draft the entire bill after that point, but they just put the placeholder in at a certain time?
I think there's a draft out there, but obviously discussions with the county will sort of guide what the ultimate language in that bill will be. So I think now that the county's given it the thumbs up to their administration, you know, I'm sure our legislative people get in the draft and get them to start.
I've been informed, and I want you to correct me if this is wrong, because I was informed that they need to get this on there as a placeholder, and that amendments can be made afterwards. So basically, that's why, and I think it was December 9th, they need to get the placeholder to begin that process.
I haven't had a chance to review all of it. Did they actually set, like, committee hearings or anything this morning? They just agreed to come to the table, and that's went on from there. So now, what is our next step? Do you know with them?
Nothing, they're looking at it right now. They approved staff to go ahead and just look at this. There's been no decision that they had to get the ball started.
Yeah.
And that's where it's going. And I haven't talked to staff, I have no insight into it. I was hoping Greg might have something for us. We can talk outside of this meeting. I was hoping maybe Greg might.
I honestly don't. I mean, I've been told that it was, might come before the county this morning, but I didn't really see it.
I saw that.
Yeah, so I don't know the details of the discussion, but it's essentially out of our hands.
And have you got any appointments with Brackett or Brawl to discuss this at this point?
I don't have any appointments with them coming forward. I had a couple minutes with Senator Brawl, and that's really been it. And it was, we're talking about it.
So I guess at this point, is there something that we should be doing as a board to be involved?
That's what I was
legally,
getting at.
formally with the
I
county?
wondered if there was a committee or something that's being set up so that this could be discussed and monitored.
Which we voted on before, that we were going to do something with that, Marcus, we talked to the city and the county, but is there something we should be doing as a board?
Well, I'll just quickly chime in. I was at the city last week on the grading review. I elected not to bring up the committee because of this change to the dependent district thing. I wanted an opportunity for this board to decide if that was truly the right path anymore. I'm not sure it is because I'm not sure committee's going to be swaying the county one way or the other. But it's really up to the board. If you want to continue, if you do, I'll continue to reach out to the county and the city, see what we can make up there. It's a short time frame though. I'm just not sure there's much value anymore.
Yeah, you know, I think, there's one of your questions, I do believe that our lobby team has been, having conversations with Brackett and Rawls as well regarding the county, getting information, in both directions. I think where we're at now is that draft bill will be put together, we'll get something to the county for them to review. At that point, it will be a public record, so at that point, we can certainly make sure that that's available for people to look at and provide comment to the county and to this board as well.
That's kind of where I'm going. I just want transparency and open notification. The communication, putting it on the website, it's not going to happen. So I just wanted to be able to, if somebody knows something is going on and that the administration, county admin, has questions or is talking or whatever, we just like to be kept abreast of that, especially considering we're into, a 3-week period now. So,
Yes, ma'am. Now the county has given their sort of, green light to proceed. We'll get that draft together. There's draft documents we're working on the FJP side already. So we'll have something that we can get to the county and like I said, will become public record. And make sure that it's pushed out.
So at this point, I was thinking a liaison to the board, but if you're going to keep us informed along the way,
heard that, right, that proposed. But, I guess we're all gonna find out.
That's what worries me.
Let's appoint a liaison, me,
Yes,
okay?
yes, very simple.
So that I can talk to you, 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 and I can talk to the county and find out where we are. Or at least I can talk with you, Steve, and find out from the county. And hopefully, I know from Brackett, and we won't be speaking with Grawl, but I'm glad you can speak with her. We can't. But
It was a per chance meeting, honestly.
you got
It
that.
was,
Yeah. So I would like to put at least 2 of us. Anybody else want to do it that is watching this? Okay, Jeff?
No, I don't want
You can raise your hand.
to. No, I don't want to do that.
Yes.
I nominate you.
So,
I agree with Karen, I think it's important that the board, you know, is appraised of this. Right now, it sounds like, Seth, at this point, you are kind of getting all the information.
I'll take lead for the point, and then Karen wants to lead for, make sure that she's, included all any communications regarding, draft documents to go out. And,
that's exactly what I'm looking for. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if we can make any official appointment there, but, welcome
You can
your-
take my, if, I'm sure it's all done email. I'll give you my email address. You send it on that. That's all I ask.
Good with that, that's legal, it's, sunshine law, right?
Yeah, you understand, you can't say, to Steve, Greg said this and vice versa, so
I
that's
do.
not our goal. just-
Yes.
But I know you understand that,
Yes.
so that's fine.
Yeah.
I look forward to your call.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Does the board have any type of expectation when they would like to have this completed by? How long? I mean, I know it's going to be difficult because there's a lot of things going on. In your mind, do you have any expectation that it was approved, how long it's going to take?
So all I can tell you is what the legislative calendar is, that they start, the first week of January, obviously not New Year's, they're starting early in January. They'll run the 90-day session through March, and, the bill will either have passed or not passed at that point, and then the particulars as to if the district splits, I would anticipate that would be effective at the end of the fiscal year, because that's would be the cleanest cutoff. But the legislature is within their control as to what they want to put in legislation.
And am I understanding you that if it did go through, the East landowners governing body would then be the city commission?
But Lynn Matisse unfortunately picked up the flu late last week and has been better for most of the week and this week. So wasn't able to get to the final numbers. So what I did instead was, since we had nearly $100,000 of excess revenue, I just simply factored up each of the line items to make sure they ended up being more than the final expenditures. And so you'll see a lot of round numbers in the fiscal year final amendment budget, which is the center column. And so I basically just absorbed most of the excess revenue just to fatten up these line items so that at the end of the year expenditures came, they would all be less than individual line items. Again, that doesn't mean we spent $55,000 on legal and professional or $10,000 on website management. Those are factor numbers just to ensure they're higher than what the final numbers come in at. Again, over the course of the year, we did not draw down reserves as our original budget anticipated. I know when I first broached this back a couple meetings ago, my numbers unfortunately were not accurate. I think I was speaking back at that time about how we were drawing more reserves out. And it turned out to be just the opposite, actually. We didn't spend any reserve money last year, even though we paid for the last paychecks of each of those major canal cleanup projects this year. And we did not have to do that because we just saved a lot of money. Some by accident, some by purpose. Not spraying is one example. The fact that SDS prepaid a $70,000 lease payment was another example, which I shared with you in the past. So all these various savings, both large and small, again resulted in about $100,000 in revenue over expenditures. Now, although it doesn't show the $100,000 here, look at the very bottom of the first page, it shows $35,000 as reserves for contingency. That's only because I took the other $60,000 and factored up these other line items. At the end of the day, again, that's why you go back and look at the unverified September report earlier, the financial report, it showed $122,000 excess. I think it's a little less than that as she ends up putting all the bills in accurate. So again, we spent less than we brought in, which is always nice. And we have about $600,000 in the bank at the end of this week, which was more than I anticipated. So, in good shape. So if there's a motion to approve the
Question?
attachment.
Okay, I want to make sure I understand this, Mark. If I'm following you correctly, it sounded like there was $100 and some thousand less expense than we had planned. And we didn't need to borrow anything from the reserve fund for this year. Am I on track so far?
Yes, sir.
But the previous year, we did take money out of the reserve fund.
Yeah, that was the year that we did the major canal. That was the year we did the major canal.
Yes, understood. Thank you. Understood. Okay, so I don't know. Maybe I'm not tracking this correctly, but it looks to me like you're just padding a whole bunch of these line items to burn up the money. That money, if it's excess revenue, or if it's excess money that we have available, since it was originally taken out of the reserve 2 years ago, it should go back in the reserve. If I don't see it, where does it go back in the reserve?
Well, again, as I said, these numbers were inflated to ensure that they're higher than the actual expenditures when they come in from Ms. Matisse next week.
Okay, I heard that, but holy smokes, going from $2,200 for the website to $10,000, going from $16,000 for legal and professional to $55,000, going from $20,000 for engineering to $35,000.
It would be better, sir, to compare those numbers with what's in the agenda packet.
There's nothing in the agenda packet.
Yeah, there is.
There's no Exhibit A. You refer to Exhibit A in the resolution, but it's not in there.
Right there, page 90 and page 91.
There's no page 90 and 91 on the website. It just printed this off. It starts at 89.
I have no idea how that happened. I have no idea. I even checked it online to make sure I had the number of pages, so I'm surprised. But anyway, to answer your question, we didn't change it from 2,200 to 10,000 with this item. The last budget, we actually had over $8,000 in web management care expenses. So I only arbitrarily increased it by $1,500 just in case some invoice comes in that I was unaware of. keep it under the line.
Okay, when you say the last budget, what do you mean?
The one that I presented as a draft and the one that should have been attached to this agenda packet, which it is, at least up here it is.
Well, this is what I just got off the table, and it's showing the amended budget from January 9th of this year, and it's showing $2,200.
Yeah, we amended that budget, I think it was in October or November of last year. As soon as the fiscal year started, we did an amended budget.
Okay, so this date is after that. This was from January of this year.
And then the second column, which is the final amended budget, is what the numbers are going to go to.
If this resolution goes through, I'm completely opposed to this. This is horrible. If that money came out of the savings account, it needs to go back into the savings
It
account.
is going into the savings account.
Not according to this.
Again, a budget is a spending guide.
Yes.
At the end of the year, you hopefully always have less expenditures than revenue.
When you're inflating these like crazy, this is ridiculous.
I guess I'm just not following where you're getting at.
What I'm saying is that we took this money out of the reserve to do the big projects that we did 2 years ago, and we didn't spend it all. The extra $100,000 needs to go back in the reserve, not be padded on top of the line items.
And it did.
No, it didn't, Mark. You're not looking. This is not what your document says.
Okay.
Don't say that. Trust me, we won't spend all this. We're just going to put this budget together, and then we won't follow it. We won't spend
This
this money.
budget's already over.
This is
not
September
this year's
25.
budget. This is last year's budget.
Done.
This is last year's budget. We're not spending $10,000 in web care this year.
Then why
That's
does it need
last
to be
year's
amended? Why
budget.
does it need to be amended to inflate it like this if we didn't spend the money?
Because you always amend the budget at the end of the year to make sure your line items are higher than the expenditures for that line item. During the year, we did have some line items that went over the budgeted amount. So this budget amendment is to refine those line items to make sure they're all over the expenditure amount.
So you don't know what you spent in September?
Yeah, I know exactly what's in the report right here. in the agenda.
Well, if you're telling me that this is for money that's already been spent, but we're not going to really be spending it, I'm just confused.
If I had gotten the final numbers from our bookkeeper, these numbers would have been right on the number. I didn't have those. I have 60 days after the end of the fiscal year to amend the budget. That means this meeting is the only meeting I had to amend the budget. So to make sure I don't miss a $50 invoice here, a $100 invoice there, I need to make sure I fluff these numbers up from what the actual expenses were.
But we're not talking about nickel and dime stuff. We're talking about massive departures for this.
Yes, massive departures that didn't get spent.
Resulted in savings of $122,000.
Then let's put it back in the reserve. Let's not.
I think there just might be some confusion on
Semantics.
budget versus actual expenditures. The budget that he has is not the actual expenditure. So he's moved money around. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, 'cause I had a hard time figuring this out also. That's why I thought the bookkeeper would be great. We were supposed to have that report with those numbers today, but for unforeseen reasons, we don't.
Okay.
But the budget is, you move the money to the budget, it just means I budgeted $10,000 for X, and that's just moving it in the line, am I right? Is that a better way to explain it, Mark? I mean,
So, I'll give you an example. On page 43 of this budget is the September financial report. It has a year-to-date column, which is the end of the fiscal year. And I'll continue to use the website management as an example. We spent $8,816.43. The prior version of this budget amendment that was in the packet had $8,816.43. But because the bookkeeper and I are moving things around to make sure they're in the right location, that number may come out to be $8,922.52. So why do a budget amendment for $88,1643 if I'm not sure that's a full, complete answer until I get the final numbers from the bookkeeper? So I fatten that up to $10,000 just to cover it in case there's a missed invoice in there. That doesn't mean we spent $10,000.
Okay, so we went through half this year without a functional website, right? Yes, yes, we did. And so now we have to pay $8,000 for half a year to have a website that mostly works. I've got all kinds problems with this. I'm not gonna keep harping on it, but I would sincerely ask the board at this next meeting, when you go through this next year's budget, be realistic and don't put a bunch of money into a bunch of line items to spend it so that we don't have to put it back into the reserve that we borrowed from.
And Mark, I would agree, but that's why we have some things in place. The $5,000 limit so that the board, so that we can be open on it. Because I absolutely agree. That is one of the reasons why that motion was brought up meetings ago. You go from 2,000 to 8,000, unbelievable, okay? Unfortunately, that was done prior, okay, prior to July. But what is happening here, what Mark is trying to do, what he's trying to say is, he's just trying to move the money and the numbers around in the budget. There's absolutely no expenditure of $10,000 on the website, but it's got to have that cushion to show that there was money in the budget that we approved. We're just amending the budget. Is that a better way of explaining it, Mark? I'm trying to.
Then you have a budget that's all gone and over and done with.
Right. And so, yeah, it's all over and done.
It's conforming the budget so that when you get your audit, that the auditor doesn't say infraction here because you overspent on your budget. In effect, it's adjusting the budget down to what actually happened in reality. So,
But isn't it a budget that you're no longer operating under?
Correct?
Yes.
So shouldn't it be done at least a month after the fiscal year closes?
And that's what's happening. The fiscal year closed September 30th. And we have 60 days after the 30th to make this amendment.
It's all getting reported.
Yeah, that's within 60 days.
We just want to make sure the money goes back into the reserve.
So when you get your final numbers, that number will go, that $122,000 you say will be back in the emergency fund?
It's already in the emergency fund. The revenue.
You're just not showing it on that.
Exactly, because we want to fatten up the line items to make sure no surprises come in and we end up with an audit finding because we overspent a line.
But there's no money being spent in that budget. That budget's over.
Correct.
Anything that was spent out of that, you should know what it is by now.
Correct. And we do, but with an auditor checking our numbers, there could be an entry in website that should have been in office supplies or vice versa.
For $1,000 a month, I would think she would be able to get that done within a month.
She did, but before she fell sick, just before she gave us the phone.
We were just with her Thursday. She did. And that's the problem, is moving it around.
But she couldn't hand it to you.
She couldn't have it, she didn't finish it, because she saw there were other things that came up in our.
Okay.
So when you say that the money is already back in the reserve, was money really positive into it, or was it just that we didn't spend?
Correct, it was just that we didn't spend it. Money is never taken out of the account until there's an invoice and a payment. We don't just take money out and keep it over the side. It doesn't work that way.
Thank you.
By next year's budget reflects that correctly. The next year's budget, has it in it, because it isn't back there. This is making sure that at the end of the day, we don't pay for an auditor. We're $100 over what we had budgeted that year.
Thank you.
It's been the time.
It is confusing now, it's definitely.
I mean,
Yeah, it's definitely.
Another reason to have a look at it.
Just, can I ask a question? When is your audit? What time of the year? Is it after the, if your fiscal year closes September 30th and you have 60 days, so is the audit December like everyone else when we do our taxes and stuff?
Audits are almost a year-round thing. I've already been working with the auditor for the last 2 months on pre-audit items that they need. They don't get deeply in the audit until after the 60 days is over because they know that every local government in the state of Florida has that 60 days to fix their year-end numbers because every local government in the state of Florida spends differently than the original adopted budget. Because things happen.
And I know it's on the top of my head, but I just looked it up. Special district has 9 months from the end of the fiscal year to submit their initial audit.
Oh, thank you.
Well, I don't memorize that, but it was something like that. I did.
Okay, but we need a motion on the amended budget to approve that. So we have a motion to approve this amended budget as discussion, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes. Okay. I think we're down to any comments from the public. Any board member comments? Okay, well, a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. We're adjourned.